Hey, what's going on, Archons? It is time for another Patreon supporter deck analysis video. This week I got one from my guy, Yan, and it says Senchel Raven Homes. Pretty cool name, actually. I like it. As always, the SAS score is not represented because it is not about that final number. It's about what is in the deck and what can be done with it. So this deck today has a Logos Sanctum Saurian build coming from Mass Mutations. And I have to say, this is a pretty interesting looking deck. So first off, I think I'm going to go into our friends in Logos. The triple Lethalogica is pretty interesting, I will say. I'm curious what the pip is. Maybe it shows here. It does. So Autoencoder has the draw pip. Lethalogica has the draw pip. Okay, that's what I was hoping, because I think that makes things all the more interesting for sure. So, all right. So Lethalogica with a draw pip is pretty awesome, and triple Lethalogica is even more awesome. I really like that. You also have Neurosiphon, so a lot of actions in Logos, which I think makes sense because I think you want to set this up. Now, that being said, these opposition research, I would not be opposed to just discarding them once we get Autoencoder out. I think Autoencoder is pretty important in this deck to set up a pretty fantastic turn in the future. We will get to that momentarily. So there's 8 mutants for the Torado. They seem to be spread out somewhat evenly. There's 3 in Logos. I can see 2 in Sanctum, and then we got another 3 in the Citizen Shrix in Saurian. So there's that for the Torado. Obviously, if your opponent is also playing mutants, you need to be cautious of when that comes out. The sloppy lab work in Autoencoder combo is very nice indeed. I mean, you also have the Munchling, so you can do that so you discard it and gain 1. So I like that. So like I said, the opposition research could be Autoencoder fodder. It could also be used with Munchling. So you fight, kill a creature, discard one of your opposition researches, gain an Ember, archive the top card of your deck. I like that play. So yeah, it looks like the Logos is really like epitomizing setting up, doing what you need to do. Now, that being said, the Lethalogicas must be taken with a grain of salt. I think there is a place where they could hurt you very badly. So it's very nice that you have Autoencoder existing. So for example, if you don't have your Autoencoder out, you're fine. But I'm more worried about, like, getting it is important. So if you can actually use a Lethalogicus to really get through your deck, it could be okay. And what I'm talking about here is that when we get to talking about Saurian, that's where everything could go wrong. So in Sanctum, the Cleansing Wave, what do we have that can really trigger the Cleansing Wave? Well, we got some damage pips. And here there's 3 of them. That's 1. Aside from that, I'm not seeing anything too much to just stand out. Destroy each mutant creature. I mean, that could work. You got 2 capture pips, so the Fabian's not that potent. The Cleansing Wave, I think, is just going to be what it is. It's going to come when it comes, and it's going to do what it does. That's just the way it is. Font of the Eye is really nice. So what I'm really focusing here on Sanctum, as I'm beating around the bush like nobody's business, is that we have Commandeer, Font of the Eye, Baranon, potentially Fabian. Yeah, I would use the Steel or whatever. You have Squire Alice. And the shoulder armor, I think, is not meant for a Sanctum creature. So all that stuff is all I'm seeing is that it's a Commandeer. So, and this is leading to the last and final house, Saurian, is you want things to get going with the Commandeer and hopefully get stuff there so that hopefully you can get to a point where Senator Baracus can be utilized. Now, the key for Senator Baracus here, I think, is finding a way to keep it alive. Now, you have an Axiom of Grist here, which is great because the Commandeer is going to be setting things up. You have Axiom Grist to get rid of things. Sagittarius, Exalted Damage Creature. Well, if you can put, I don't think you can. Yeah, you could. If you could put a damage on Senator Baracus and then get some Ember on him, you're laughing, because then Ancient Power is what you're setting up. So I think this deck wants to have Ember all over the creatures. You Ancient Power to ward them. You have Baracus out, so then you can spend that Ember. And in between that, you also have Spoils of Battle to just really take your opponent's Ember. And then the triple Senator Shrix, again, doing what you want to do with getting Ember on Senator Shrix, being able to steal Ember. Huge control here. I think Saurian is where this deck really shines. Then obviously you have Charbitis, before fight. Each enemy creature says before fight, lose one. And Cilia is reap, deal 4 damage to this creature. So those are just going to be disruption cards, I feel like, but they're really good. Yeah, I just see this deck like you just want to set up the Saurian turn where you're just suddenly in a position when you go, yep, I got this, and you just pull off some crazy shenanigans. That's the way it looks to me. I mean, obviously, the Grey Rider is really nice to have for Munchlings, I would say, but also Ardent Heroes going into big creatures. So the shoulder armor, I think you really want to have it on Baracus to make it 6 power 2 armor. Is going to make that really challenging. If you can keep that going, it's kind of like you got to go Saurian, hopefully get the Ancient Power, get the ability, Spoils of Battle to put Ember on Baracus as well. Get all that going, get it really nicely done, ward your whole line, and then Axiom of Grist to further just like hose your opponent's side, so the ability to take out Baracus is that much harder. Because if you can get it, I mean, you need 2 creatures, so you got to be careful with that. I mean, it's just such an obvious, just get this off the board with the way this deck plays if they saw your list, that I think if that goes, it takes a lot of the fun out of it, out of what this deck wants to do, in my opinion. But I mean, if you can really set up that nice shoulder armor turn, and this goes back into using logos and autoencoder. I think you almost hard maul for the autoencoder, to be very honest. And you just go. I'm worried about the Lethalogica is getting rid of some of these key pieces in Saurian. But if the card ain't gonna be doing you Ember gain or anything else for that matter, like there's so many things in here that I will just pitch for autoencoder and just start archiving to hopefully get that really fatty boom boom dino turn where you can just absolutely make your opponent regret their life choices by just setting up this aggressive board. Ancient Power, I feel, is so key in this deck. So yeah, that's how I think it goes. I think you go I think you literally go like this. You go like Logos, Sanctum, Saurian. Like I think that's how you want to play the deck. And you're just using the Logos. Like I think you need to be ruthless with autoencoder and just pitch those cards and archive to have a huge turn. Yeah, those Lethalogicas, I'm super nervous about it. I think they will be best used once, like if you can archive some of your really key Saurian stuff. Basically, Senator Baracus, Ancient Power, Spoils of Battle. Those are the 3 cards I think are the most important and potent. To a degree, Axiom of Grist as well. Even Commandeer, I would say. But the rest, yeah, once those if you can get those saved or in hand, Lethalogica away, and just get yourself into a cool position. Or if you're really through the deck, you can also use Lethalogicas if they take care of your Senator Baracus to cycle faster again. So I think those are the 2 ways there. But I kind of like the way this deck looks like it plays. But you definitely hold off, I think, putting your Saurian people out doing work. Interesting deck. I'm actually excited to play this on stream. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And that's Seneschal Raven Holmes. And if you want to have your decks analyzed by myself, you can join my Patreon supporter tier that offers that. There's also some stuff below you can take advantage of, like once a month coaching. It gets included with that. So yeah, Check that out. And as always, folks, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.